I've got to be honest. As an artist, I think I often struggle with how a lot of artists go about trying to create something new and fresh. There tends to be within humanity, and I believe it's due to our fallen nature, the idea that they want to push and even break molds of things that are okay, the things that are good, and I think it's part of that broken nature in that we were created as image bearers of God, created in God's image, and because of that, He made us to be people to create and to build and to really kind of follow in His fashion as a creator. Not saying we're anywhere near Him, but think about early on. I mean, the jobs that Adam was given to name and to discover the world that God had given him to live in. And then we have very much a nature in us to build and create. And yet, when that's tweaked by the sin nature, the drive to create's still there, but it's sometimes perverted. And I don't mean that in a sexual sense, but just it's perverted. It wants to strike out, but it doesn't know how. And so, in many ways, it becomes, I think, as a Switchfoot album put it very well, it becomes a beautiful letdown. Or life is that way. And so they're constantly having to look for something new and challenging to them because they're never satisfied. And I don't say that in particular about the new wave, but I say that about kind of the nature of the new wave. I mean, you think about Impressionism in the latter 1800s in France, and you have Van Gogh down there, and Monet, and Seurat, and all these, artists that I actually really do like their artwork. But if you take a look at it, and you think, that's interesting. What was the philosophy behind it? What was their thinking behind it? And a lot of them, it was about questioning reality. Now think about it. Before them, there were some masters who painted amazing scenes of life. You look at some of these old paintings, oil paintings, and it's just unbelievable what they were able to capture. But man became bored with that, and they said, "Well, how can we better, maybe not better express, but how can we portray emotion and feelings without having to paint it in the way that would just look like reality?" And I'm not saying that everything behind Impressionism is wrong, but what I'm saying is that the philosophy behind it was really about questioning reality. And we can watch this kind of descent, the movement from Romanticism and Transcendentalism, and then on down into Impressionism, the idea of what can we do to put up on a painting that would convey emotion, that would impress emotion, but would be done in a different way. And I think, in many ways, that's what the spirit of the New Wave was all about. We had developed in cinema a way of capturing perceived life. And these guys in the New Wave were going, yeah, but it's not reality. So how can we push the envelopes of cinema to try to get even a better reality out there, to try to get a better sense of emotion and what life is all about. And they're definitely were the mindset that life isn't perfect. Life doesn't always have a Hollywood ending. It doesn't always have a moment where it all comes together and we understand what's going on. And so they definitely were influenced by the existential worldview, the idea that we kind of make the best out of life. We exist, and that's all we know. And from there, we either do with our existence something good, or we just don't worry about it. And you'll see that. I feel like I'm a bit rambling, and I am. I'm sorry, my mind is not as clear as it has been in the last few weeks. But the point I want to drive home here is that these filmmakers were trying to challenge the status quo. And a lot of that comes across in the way this movie Breathless is portrayed. Think about the subject matter that we're watching. I know it was in French, but as you follow it, there's an open conversation about sex. There's an open conversation about crime, some of it petty, some of it actually being a murder. And then there is it seems to be an on-again, off-again conversation about what is life, why are we here, what's the point. And, by the time we get to the end of the movie, I don't know if those questions are answered. You tell me. When we have our little discussion on the New Wave, let me know. Is it answered? And so, in many ways, the subject matters of the New Wave begin to kind of challenge morality, challenge ideas of sexuality, challenge actually the kind of understanding about reality. So that is definitely something different about the New Wave. And we'll see very soon through the 60s and 70s. I mean, it definitely influences Hollywood in a reverse way, where you start to see Hollywood wanting to make movies that are a lot more open about these subject matters. The second thing that it does, though, is visually challenges the way movies are being made. And that's where, going back to what I was talking about, Impressionism and having a hard time with enjoying how the art looks, but struggling with the philosophy behind it. I think some of these New Wave films, I actually enjoy watching them. They're different. They're cut differently. The acting comes across a little bit more based in reality. A lot of them are set on location, so I love being able to see real locations and not just sound stages. So visually, I do enjoy some of these new styles. But the subject matter and the philosophy behind it, I do struggle with it. But that's okay. I'm just being honest and expressing where I'm at with that. I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say about it. But visually, here's really a few things that you're going to see different in this movie. Well, one, it doesn't feel as if it has to stick with that seamless editing, that invisible editing style. Now, for the most part, you'll see it cut back and forth between the actors in the movie. But if you notice, a lot of the shots are... there are times when there are jump cuts. And what I mean by that is that you have... it's not following a continuity of time. There'll be he'll be driving down the road, and then we'll make a quick edit, and then he's a little bit further down the road, and a car that was right in front of him all of a sudden disappears, and we realize we're down the road a little bit further. Or maybe she goes to get into the car, and the next thing you see, she's actually in the car and it's taking off. There's a moment of 10 seconds that disappears. And that style, it's there to kind of jolt you for a moment. It's there to kind of pull you out of the dazed look of watching a movie and all of a sudden go, oh, okay, that's interesting. They definitely kind of mess with that here and there. You'll see those jump cuts. You'll also notice that the movie, a lot of it is shot handheld. It's on a shoulder and it's walking around. It's kind of moving. It's kind of shaking. Part of that is due to the fact that a lot of it is shot, as I said, on location in different parts of Paris and different parts of France. And so you don't have time to set up sticks or tripods and put the camera on there and make sure you get all the shot right. So they get right to it. They're in their face. They're following it around, following the action around. And because of that, the sound is on location. So you're going to hear background noises, cars honking, driving by, people talking, and all of that. And you'll see too, because they're shooting on the street, there's not a lot of man-made lighting. They work with the natural lighting that's there. All of this adds to a term that they used called cinema verite, life cinema, cinema of the life, where we could try to capture all of that. So I'll pick that up in section 3.